In order to gain the respect and have the success, you have to be a doer. And I think that's the difference, is just being a doer. And I'm not saying that the people who have experience aren't doers. I'm saying that they respect people who are doers. And I think that is what makes you or breaks you in the industry.
Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Build, the podcast where innovation meets collaboration in the world of construction. We bring together thought leaders and industry experts to explore the cutting-edge ideas transforming construction equipment, supply chains, building materials, and workforce productivity.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by Faro, the revolutionary last-mile logistics platform, redefining how high-value, time-sensitive construction deliveries get done. Need it fast? Need it right? Faro.
Hello everyone, today we're joined by Samantha Greenwald, a territory manager at Four Rivers Equipment, where she plays a key role in delivering high-quality equipment and service solutions for construction and forestry professionals. With a background in both sales and management at companies like United Rentals and Four Rivers Equipment, Samantha brings a unique perspective to the rental versus dealership sales dynamic, particularly in the construction industry. Samantha is also passionate about empowering women in construction, and her diverse career journey reflects her drive to foster growth, development, and leadership in the industry. Today, we'll be discussing how rental and dealership sales differ and how companies can maximize operational efficiency, manage costs, and improve overall team productivity in a fast-paced industry. Samantha, welcome to Beyond the Build. So, we're just talking about where you were from. When did you leave Colorado originally? Did you say that already?
Yeah, so I left Colorado in 2019, and I was in New
2019, okay.
Mexico for 6 years after that.
So just a short stint. What made you, is it just job opportunity that brought you back to Colorado?
Yeah, so I worked for a bigger corporation on the rental side, and made the
Were they
move with
blue?
them. What'd
Did
you
they
say?
have a lot of blue on there? Did they have a lot
They
of
had
blue
a
on their
lot of
yard?
blue. Yes, a lot of blue in their yard. And I moved with them from Durango to Albuquerque. I just wanted a bigger market. And then just kind of did that for a couple of years. I took a year off, and then I ended up finding the company that I'm currently with, which is Four Rivers Equipment.
So getting into the equipment industry, was that something you were looking for, or is that something that found you?
No, that found me. I was actually pursuing a psychology degree in Durango actively. I thought that I wanted to be a counselor, and I just decided to take a job interview, and it ended up, my dad is a contractor, so like I know the world a little bit, but not very much. And so I just decided to take a chance, and I was working at a rafting company and going to school, and I decided to take that jump, and I've been in it ever since.
So being
Rafting meaning like whitewater rafting?
Yes.
Okay, not rafters like in the roof rafters.
No, this is
Okay. Yeah.
this isn't a water going over class 4-5 rapids, but going back to that, I spent over 2 decades in the equipment rental industry, wore the same colors that you talked about, discreetly on the front of the call, and I think you were probably going for your internship, because if there was a place where you need psychological help, it's like, just go work at a rental company for a while, and you're like,
Yeah, no
that was
kidding.
just controlled chaos.
And I did start as an intern, so I mean, I think that worked out. But
Yeah.
I decided to jump full in and make it a career.
The running joke is, like, in the industry, like, even in the construction side, but in specifically the rental side, if you can withstand a year in that controlled chaos, you go to any other job and you're like, is this difficult?
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah,
all about
everything is
planning,
urgent.
preparation. Yeah. I mean, even what you're currently doing today, right? How often are you getting a call from a contractor and saying, they won't truly admit it, like, I forgot to order something or it was my fault, but hey, I need a miracle, but I need it right now. So, like, wave your wand and figure out what you can do. And I hope you give me a good answer.
Yeah, that's 100% it. And I mean, it's a relationship-based business. The side that I'm on, I'm a territory manager, which is a fancy word for a sales rep. And I just actually got back from delivering a bucket 3 hours away that probably didn't necessarily go in. I mean, it fit in the truck, but it was heavy for the truck, and we got it there, and they were thrilled, and that was great, but it doesn't always work out that way.
You just delivered a bucket 3 hours away that probably inhibited you from calling on other customers to capture more business. Walk the listeners, the people that aren't familiar with this everyday case that people think is an edge case, like what is from your lens, what transpired between that company needing that bucket and how it got to the point where you were the resource that had to basically save the day?
Well, to be perfectly honest, this particular case, it's not always this way, but this particular case, they did order the bucket on time, and the bucket had to be brought in from the manufacturer, and then the manufacturer delayed their shipping, and they were supposed to deliver it on the 8th. Today is the 18th. And so then it was sitting at a site, a FedEx site somewhere, and they were like, "Well, we can't deliver it until next Tuesday," after telling me 3 times this week that they could deliver it. So I hopped in a truck myself and went to go get it. So yes, I was saving the day, but at the same time, like, they need that bucket. So, um, in a normal day, somebody calls in, they need something last minute, we're saving the day. And when I say saving the day, like, the motto at Four Rivers is we're your working partner because we like to build relationships, and it's much more about the relationship than it is about the transaction. So if you need something right here, right now, and I have it, I'm going to get it to you and we'll figure out the rest later. Um, if I don't have something that you need, I'm going to find it. And if I can't find it, I'm going to tell you. But I really don't like to tell people no. I like to tell them what I can do rather than, no, I don't have that. It's, well, I do have this. Would that work for you?
Yeah. And it's not unique to Four Rivers or any of the other companies. I mean, this is an issue that arises all the time in many businesses, right? We have the SOP and the process that we all tend to follow, but there's outside circumstances, whether it's delay in shipping from, let's say, a FedEx or a UPS, or it's a manufacturer issue. All right, perfect. So yeah, what we were talking about is, you being able to save it, but there's things that are out of your control, right? And it happens all the time on job sites and in, these companies where, you've done everything right. We've followed the SOP, but one spot within the SOP has an issue, right? Whether it's a delivery partner, whether it's the manufacturer that forgot to get it on the loading dock and now we're delayed another day, or sometimes you have the mistake where, contractor thought they ordered a smooth bucket and, we typed in tooth bucket or whatever the situation is. I mean, there's problems that happen. The question always arises like, what do we do about it? How do we create a solution like you did where you're like, you know what? They need it. We're going to basically color outside the lines. I'm going to go pick it up and we're going to make it happen because that's what we do in our relationships. We solve problems, right? And for us, like when we decided to look at the construction industry from a different perspective, we were like, this is happening too often and we need to create a solution for it. And I tell the story every once in a while about the why Faro was developed. And it was me flying into a job site, taking an Uber from the airport to the job site at like 9:00 in the morning, and having a mechanical contractor come up and ask me for a piece of equipment that was the size of a carry-on suitcase and said, when can we get it here? And as you're a problem solver, you call your operations team and they're like, we can get it tomorrow at noon. So the contractor's going, I got 8 people standing around that are $75 an hour. That just doesn't work for us. I'm going to send somebody from the job and they can go pick it up. Now, where this job was in San Francisco, traffic getting across the bridge and over to something 14 miles, that was the distance from the job site to the yard. It would take him 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So I decided, I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. I can get food delivered faster than that. So the crowdsourcing operational mind came in and said, well, why can't we just stick this in an Uber and send it over here? We don't have to go 2 ways. But then my operational brain came in and said, well, wait a second. Uber's not going to have the right PPE standards or vehicle possibly to put this thing in. and we don't have the checks and balances that they can cover the value of this product. And then when that individual gets to the job site, because of the PPE and the environment that we work in, no one's going to let them within like 3,000 yards of the job and be like, you can't, I can meet you at the gas station and probably do this pass off. But I was like, no, we got to solve this and we got to do it within the industry. And we can't continue to rely on our rollbacks or our semi trucks to put something the size of a carry-on and get it there. And we don't want to inhibit our operations or our sales team when you should be out actually creating new opportunities. But instead, you just sat, 3 hours in a truck and saw one customer today? And you're like, I could have done 12 more meetings. And when we look at these challenges, and I look from even the contractor's side, it's like, isn't your primary responsibility to stay on site and to complete your project, not leave job sites and support yourself or your suppliers when there's a gap? And what we want to think about is from your experience too, because I'm sure you've got multiple stories where it's like, how are we changing the perspective within the industry to saying we don't need to continue doing it the same way. We need to look for different opportunities, whether it's logistics or it's how we prepare our equipment or how we schedule a job. Like, are we challenging ourselves to invert the problem or look at it from a different angle to say, wow, I didn't realize we were doing this way. We could have done it this way. Do you see that as being a challenge? Um, Explaining things to your customers and saying, "Hey, I've got a different solution. Let's come together." Or do you feel like a lot of times you're just an order taker and you just respond to whatever they want and then hope operations can serve it?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Um, Especially in the role that I'm currently in, the reason that they have a fancy word for sales rep is because they expect us to manage everything in the territory. That means that I don't get to just put orders in or take orders and throw my hands up and, oh, well, there was red tape. Well, that sounds like it was your problem. I took the order. That's not how it works. Um, we are constantly trying to be innovative with customers, constantly trying to find solutions, things like that. We have some new technology on some attachments that just came out and things like that that ended up that it's great technology, but when you connect it to the machine, it ends up being like, okay, well, how to, it just kind of hangs there now. It's in the way. So my shop specifically, which is what I can speak to because that's what I'm working in every day, my shop has been incredibly innovative about like, oh, well, let's make a job box for this and it can magnet here and they are just constantly trying to find new solutions because the work that we're doing is also slightly different with the technology that's coming into or into the industry. And so I feel that I am constantly seeing the innovation, and I am fortunate because I work at a small store and we are all very young. I'm 26, will be 27 this year, and everyone in a management position is only a few years older than me. So we are kind of not in that realm of, "Oh, he's been doing this for 40 years." So now I have to try to explain to him or try to convince him that we could try it a different way. We don't have a lot of that red tape at my location, and that's a really good feeling.
Interesting. Are there any innovations outside of the one that you just mentioned that are a particular excitement to you? Or are there any old ways that you've tried to solve better, but just found that, oh man, the old way is just the right way? Like they this out a long time ago. We should keep doing things this way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I find that it's best when it's a combination of the two. We still have some techs in the shop who are very experienced and have been doing this a very long time, and their knowledge is incredibly important to us. And then I also have contacts in Albuquerque who have been doing this a very long time. And I find that it's best when I take my innovative, fresh eyes spin and what they know worked or didn't work, and we find kind of a compromise. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's like, "Oh, this is super exciting," because every day is different, and I feel like I'm doing this every day, so, there's all kinds of problems every day that can be solved by taking experience and fresh eyes and coming up with a new solution that helps us today.
How's it compared with working at a very large entity in the same industry, but now coming to one that is decidedly smaller. What are the big pluses and minuses of either side of that fence?
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. I work at a dealership now, and then it was a rental house, and those are two very different. They're the same industry, different worlds. Um, so it's it's still. I mean, we still rent equipment at the dealership, but it's mostly to either help customers out or so that they can rent it for a while in order to be able to purchase it. So it's a little bit different as far as like the urgency and that kind of thing and like the depreciation on the assets and all of that goes into what you're renting out. Um but I think that the difference in like size of the companies because Four Rivers is still a relatively large company. We're just on the dealership side. We are not comparable to a nationwide company, and that's where I was before, and there's not I have nothing bad to say, there's just so much more red tape at that level because it is a higher level. You're working at a national level rather than a local level, and I appreciate personally working at a local level.
So also, so Four Rivers, I think, are you guys a John Deere?
Mhm.
Which?
Yes.
Okay, so John Deere dealership. I've heard talks of, them basically segregating some of their rental houses, and maybe the dealerships are saying, hey, we need to have a rental arm that's independent. Do you still feel like a lot of in me privy this to my lack of knowledge? Four Rivers, is it all just forestry equipment? Is that
No,
the
so
primary?
I am construction and forestry.
Okay.
So, it's the construction side, and then we also dip into the forestry piece.
Okay. Do you see an uptick still in the dealer sales where contractors are still able to take, hey, I'd rather own this asset than rent? Or are you seeing a shift of more, hey, let's rent rather than have to own, depreciate, and maintain and move and transport? Like, what are you seeing from the dealership side of it?
Honestly, I'm seeing both. We're still pretty steady on sales, and then the rentals have picked up, but it's also summertime. And then we have a rental purchase option, so you can rent it for several months and then be able to decide at the end if you want that option. And then you're basically you paid your own depreciation on that asset. Or if somebody else rented it down and decided not to purchase it, then you could potentially pick up somebody else's. They rented it down for you, and you were able to purchase that still as a new unit because it's never been sold from the dealership. And the benefit to that is you still get dealer discounts at that point. Um, so I'm seeing a mix of both. I think we are definitely heavy on rentals this summer, but that could honestly change. Last month was a slow sales month. This month has not been. So it's kind of a weird year, to be honest.
Are you guys running into supply chain issues with getting product?
Not so much, no. I think products are pretty readily available. It's primarily, like, shipping has been hard this year.
And when you mean by shipping, like, break that down for us.
We get a lot internationally, so that's been kind of difficult, it's been slower, and then, like, I just had a shipping issue, and that was local here in North America, I think it's just hard to find reliable shipping right now, and so the companies that are out there are important.
Now, do you think it's so you say international, is it getting into the ports, or do you think it's from getting it from the port of entry to the final destination?
To be honest, it's hard to pinpoint because when you're waiting on something, they're not necessarily telling you, "Oh, it's sitting at the port and I just can't get it to you." Um, but that I do think that happens as well. So it's hard to pinpoint what exactly the issue is, but it's slower, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we try to elevate with the transparency factor. I mean, again, we talk about the consumer side on other podcasts where we're a society now that wants instant gratification. We can get boxes dropped off at our house through our button, almost to a point where we order so much we don't even remember what we ordered. We just know there's boxes on our porch. But that transparency factor from a construction industry is like we need to schedule our crews and we need to basically be in unison. So one of the challenges I had in the past was just a lack of visibility from when I created a BOL for a product to come in. Once we scheduled it with that transportation company, we kind of lost like all visibility. We knew that a driver had it. We didn't know how to get a hold of the driver. We knew what the rate was going to be. And then sometimes when we would get the driver that came in, the truck wouldn't be what we had ordered. And then sometimes the driver that came out wasn't properly dressed for the environment. And now all of a sudden we're trying to mitigate a potential issue. And then there's no visibility after the driver leaves. And let's say we're doing interstate type of to transport, or okay, you left Colorado, you're supposed to be in Louisiana, but when are you going to get there? And you're like, because you're sitting on the other end going, my customer needs, or our customer needs this product on their job site this day because they have material showing up and people. If we can't give them a schedule to say, hey, that truck has been delayed in Texas and it's not going to be in Louisiana until tomorrow, the more front in time, the customer's not going to be happy, but they're like, well, thank you. Now I know not to schedule the material trucks. Now I know not to bring 4 people in and just bring 1 in. And it's like being able to communicate that, but like, you said something where it's hard to pinpoint where the bottleneck is. So you're like, how do I convey information so people can make decisions if I'm in the dark?
Absolutely. I mean, for example, this bucket situation. I had to spend 2 hours on the phone yesterday to find out where the bucket was specifically. Like, my thing says it's in Albuquerque, but is it closer than that? Because it also said it was being delivered yesterday. So is it at some like random FedEx in between here and there? Like, where is the bucket and can I go get it myself at this point? Because, I spent 2 hours on the phone trying to just figure out where the bucket was between here and there. And if I had known that, they don't service that area unless it's Tuesdays, I could have told the customer, hey, it'll be there on a Tuesday. And they could have at least scheduled that. So yeah, I think that transparency of shipping it's huge and it's crucial to be able to find that out. But then as it stands right now with a lot of shipping companies, you have to spend 2 hours on the phone in order to get that information. So then it's almost not worth it.
Yeah. And every company has their issues. I mean, this is not to throw stones, right? Because majority of the time, people and companies, they execute, right? But I can tell you horror stories. I mean, even simple stuff where it's like, I need something shipped. And I'm literally watching the updates going, okay, it left New York. Now it's showing that it's in this state. And I'm like, okay, should be here. And then I check the next day and I'm like, well, how did they get from like Tennessee to Buffalo? Did it go backwards? What happened? And then trying to get a hold of somebody. And it's like, oh, you sent an email into the ether. And now you're trying to make decisions to customers and saying, I don't have all the information. We could hope for a Hail Mary pass. But what I'm seeing right now or hearing is it's somewhere in the United States. We know that. So that's a positive. And then once I get a good GPS location, I'll let you know. But my best guess is you might get it Wednesday.
Or Wednesday by end of day. And then the customer's like, well, what's end of day? Beats me. I don't know. Maybe 8 p.m. I don't know.
Well, there was great services. So back again, we're telling stories here, and we had a separate division than our general rent, right? And we use a lot of UPS standard carrier. So the timing aspect would be is a customer on the job site would say, hey, I need this small tool, right? And the branch wouldn't have it, but a branch that, let's say, I don't know, 150 miles away had the unit. Well, no one's going to just drive down there and turn around because the customer might need it at 9, but their crews are done at like 2. So if they don't have it by like 1 o'clock, it's a wash. Like, don't show up at 1:30 and be like, hey, I did it. And they're like, I can't use it till tomorrow morning. So when we use standard carrier, even next day, we're like, okay, so 9 o'clock it came in. We notified that location that had it. They staged it. Traditional transportation doesn't pick up till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon because we've already missed the 11 o'clock window. Now that location picks it up at 3 o'clock, they can guarantee before noon the next day that it gets to the location, the Brindle location that needs to deliver to the job site. Now they have a truck standing by to get that item to the customer by 1:30 and they're already gone. So now that customer that ordered something on Monday at 9 doesn't actually get to use that product until Wednesday morning at best. And they're like, it's just a drill. It just needed a drill. I could have went and bought one like in 2 hours. But now I got this asset that I need for one job, and I don't want to pay, whatever the rate was for it. I wanted to get it. So it's those things where it's like, yes, it can be done, but how often do we see our colleagues, our competitors, and even our customers still reverting back to the familiar ways of going, I don't know, this is how I do it, and we press the button, and this is the expectation we set, so I don't know, stay productive until Wednesday. Like, that's the best we can do.
Would stay productive until Wednesday when this is the one thing that you're waiting on to finish your job.
Exactly.
This is what's holding you up from being productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
absolutely.
that's the case study for what we do is instead of all of that mess, you just get on your phone or computer, you type in the addresses on Faro, and we'll have someone grab it and bring it to the job site same day, usually in less than 2 hours, depending on distance, of course. In the 150-mile scenario, it's going to take a little longer, but yeah, that's literally the situation that we're built for. And we're not in Colorado yet, Samantha, but that bucket situation you found yourself in today, I would have loved to have helped you out with that.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you guys to get into Colorado. I'm
Well,
just over
and
the
the
state
key-
line, I'm just saying.
Just over the state line. And the thing is, too, is we talk about this in all industries, right? The culture and the standard and the expectation we set as an organization, right? We all identify we're going to have issues. It just happens. The differentiator is how we respond to those issues. And being I wouldn't say a newer dealer location, but a location that has personnel that's under a certain age gap, how do you guys convey new ways of thinking or new opportunities to other people that have I guess, elevated age and experience
More
level?
experience. They have more experience.
There you go.
In the industry. I think that it's really just like my boss tells me all the time, you're a doer. And I think that everybody who is about my age, at least in my experience and in what we have going on at our branch, we're all doers. And if there is a way for me to get it from point A to point B, any part of the job process, the machine, the attachment, whatever it is. If you need a drill, if you need whatever, yeah, it does throw my day off sometimes, which is why it's hard to plan a week. But I also like that it's different every day. That's one of the things I really love about my job. And it means that I'm able to have that flexibility in order to go help someone. And I think that really is what it comes down to is like the people who are successful coming into an industry that has so much experience and we are all so new and things have changed since they all learned how to do these things. And so we're not necessarily being taught the same way. But in order to gain the respect and have the success, you have to be a doer. And I think that's the difference is just being a doer. And I'm not saying that the people who have experience aren't doers. I'm saying that they respect people who are doers. And I think that is what makes you or breaks you in the industry.
Yeah, Scott, that reminds me about some of the stuff that I hear you say to the team and just in general that you know you'd rather someone do something and make a mistake than basically not do anything and kind of let the situation like roll over you, which I respect. I like that too. Like the idea of that we're in a busy kitchen and we're going to break some plates. Shit's going to fall on the floor sometimes. We're going to have to, pick it up and fix it. But, that's all part of the process. We can't be afraid of a decision from stopping us from trying, from acting.
Most mistakes are fixable. Some are just more expensive than others.
Yep. And Scott has claimed that there's no mistake we can make that can't be fixed. We haven't truly tested that yet, but one day we probably will.
Well, I think it starts with the leadership. We don't talk in our organization. Like all the wins that we have are because of the team, and all of the setbacks that we have, my fault. It's always going to be my fault. And that's how we look at it, right? Because either we didn't communicate, we didn't think about it, I didn't, coach enough. I mean, there is circumstances where, yes, we went over it a few times and people just fell off the cart, right? So it's not like completely black and white, but you got to identify, like, you're running into something where there could be a problem. And one of the things that you mentioned, being younger too, you called out your age, so thank you, 26, and you're a doer. Where does that characteristic come from, the doer attitude? And then the second part of that was, how do you motivate people that are, let's say, coming out of, remedial school, college, high school, whatever, and now they're in their 20s, and you're like asking them, like, you've got to be a doer in order to create success for yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. For me personally, I think it came from my parents. That I'm the youngest of 7, so I have a lot of really powerful role models in my life.
Oh, you're the
And
baby?
I'm the
You're the
baby.
baby?
I'm the baby. I'm the
The
baby. Yeah.
golden
Like,
child, the golden one can't do anything wrong.
yeah, sure. No, I get that a lot. And I mean, I'm 6 years younger than any of my like the closest sibling in age to me, and there's 6 of them. And we also have a lot of female energy in the house. I have 5 sisters and a brother. So, we just it came from them, and you're not gonna get anything in life that you're not gonna work for, and you can't ask anyone to do something that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. So, I think that's where that mentality came from for me, is that you just gotta get up and do it, and if you get up and do it enough times, hopefully you're setting the example for everyone around you, if it wasn't already there, that we're gonna get up and do it for the customer, for the job, for whatever needs done, we just gotta get up and do it. And I think that teaching people who are coming into the workforce, I think that some of that is teachable. I also think that some of it is ingrained in you a little bit. Like, I can pull that out of you if it's there, but I can't necessarily put it there. You have to want to work. And I think most people do. I am positive about that. I'm an optimist, but I think that they have to want to. And then if they want to, you can show them, like, I'm willing to do it. Are you willing to do it? And I really think that's the only way to be that kind of leader in the industry.
Yeah, we talked about on a previous podcast, and I want to mention that again, you're one of 6, right? Isn't it funny sometimes, or one, yeah, um, that the environment that we live in doesn't always necessarily shape who we are as an individual? Because you might look at your siblings, and although you're similar, do you have any sibling that's just a complete off, where you're just like, I don't know what household they grew up in? They're just,
Yeah.
they're just
And I'm
different.
sure they'd say the same about me. Yes.
Right. Right. And we find that in just life, right? So you go on a job site, you could have a contractor that looks at his project a certain way, and then you can go to another job, same trade, and you're just like, wow, yeah, this is not an environment that's going to be easy to navigate. And at the end of the day, we all still have to show up. And I think that's also the thing where you look at some of your colleagues or your customers, like, are you giving 100%? Are you putting it out on the line, or are you just doing the bare minimum? And I hope I'm not generalizing, but the newer workforce coming in, I'm always questioning, are you all in? Or are you just using this as a stone to step to something else? Do you see that same thing, or you have that same concern when, you know, you see new people coming into the industry?
I would say I have the same concern. I wouldn't say that that's been my, like, experience with people coming into the industry. I work with a lot of people who are around my age and some that are a little younger, and which is crazy because I didn't used to be able to say that. I was always the baby, and now there are more people coming into the industry, which is great. And I would say that it's primarily like they want to work, and I always tell, you know, the next person coming into the industry, this is when I decided that this was my big kid job. This was when I decided that this was gonna be my career, and you have to decide, is this your career, or is this, a stepping stone to wherever else you want to be. Because if it's that, you're never going to be able to do the job long term. You're just not. It's you have to have a passion for it, for what we do. Like you said, like it's one of the harder jobs out there, and you have to love it. And I love helping my customers because construction's not going anywhere. Everybody always needs it, and everybody needs equipment. So I'm not I'm not selling anything that anybody doesn't need. I'm just being honest and showing up and being transparent and doing what I can in order to get towards that bigger goal. And I think that setting that mindset early in a career is important because if you're just at a stepping stone, you're probably not going to last a career length of time.
What do you see in your future? What are your kind of big goals and aspirations? And have you kind of outlined a track for yourself, or are you kind of more of a fly by the seat of my pants? Like, I know I want to get there. I don't know which route I'm going to take, but I'm kind of just grind to that goal without necessarily a plan. What's in your head?
I think that Four Rivers, number one, is where I want to be. I've experienced other things and I've been in the industry in other ways. And I don't think anybody quite does it like Four Rivers, to be honest. I just, or at least the dealership side of John Deere, I don't know exactly what it is, but they keep the autonomy at the branch level. You're able to keep everything local. You're not like, oh, you have to go talk to, corporate office and see what they can do for you. Sorry, my hands are tied. And I love that. I love to be able to be, elbow deep in helping and finding the solution to the problem. And so number one, I plan to be at Four Rivers for as long as they'll have me. And number two, I really like what I do as a territory manager. I don't think I necessarily need to go up or do anything bigger. Maybe one day down the road, but as it stands right now, for the foreseeable future, I like what I'm doing, and I'm the only territory manager in my area, and I'm building relationships that I intend to last for a long period of time. So I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah. I mean, we were just talking the other day on another recording of, folks don't always need to like move up, up, up. Like we're talking about, like, you have a great, a great tradesperson on a construction site. All right, let's make them a foreman. And then you put them in that position and they collapse and crumble because they're like, oh, like you've just been thrown into this and you just assume that they want to move up. But it's great when you recognize what you love and where you want to be. And it doesn't necessarily like higher or bigger is not always better. It's like what you want is better. Like and figuring out what you want and why you want it. I think that's one of
Yeah,
the harder things for a lot of folks to figure out. Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, I'm not saying that never I would not
Oh
want to
yeah.
move up,
You
but
got time,
for
but
the foreseeable
you're not.
future, yeah, I'm young. I know. I get that all the time.
Yeah, you're 26. You're not 56 or
But
66.
yeah, I mean, for the foreseeable future, I think what I'm doing is exactly where I want to be. I tell people all the time that it sounds very cliche, but I have my dream job, and I'm good with that. I'm very very happy with where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. A lot of people search their whole career and they can't find it, right? They're like, I have to go to work every day. And, it feels like a chore. And you're like, no, I get to go to work every day. Right? That's a blessing right there that a lot of people are like I said, search for a long time. Question for you. For your customers that could be listening, can you tell, and I'm not experienced in the dealership model, what is one thing about the dealership model that you think your buyers, your customers are confused or get wrong?
That we only sell. We're here to be a one-stop shop at the dealership, and I think that gets lost in translation because it's often like when you think of dealership, you think of like a car dealership. You can't necessarily go rent the cars on the lot, and there's not necessarily that model. But when it comes to equipment, I mean, it's a very big investment, and so we want to make it accessible, and that means that we rent equipment. That means that you don't have to buy the equipment that you rent. That means that somebody else could rent that equipment for a long period of time, and it's never been sold to someone else. It's always been owned by the dealership and maintained by the dealership. So as long as it's still, within its warranty period, you can purchase it brand new and have all of the dealer discounts at a discounted rate because somebody else rented it down and paid the rental on that. And we maintained it as a dealership. So it's still great equipment, and you're not getting the same equipment that's, sometimes used and abused at rental houses, and it's well maintained, it's ready to go, and I think that's overlooked a lot. I don't know that it's just not very common, and so I don't think that when you think dealership, you think that, but in the equipment industry, that's absolutely a possibility.
I mean, a part of me used to think too, like, if we ever did get into like a dealership model, I'd think about number one, having the asset, selling the asset, moving the asset, repairing and maintaining the asset, like that full circle experience for the buyer, where you're like, yeah, you bought a machine from me, but you need to move that too. Like, how do you move it from job A to job B? And then when job B is done, like, you know, I'm sure there's areas out there where like I could buy something from you. And then I could be like, Samantha, not only do I want to buy it from you, I want to have a maintenance contract with you to do all my PMs. And oh, by the way, I also like to call you because I need you to move it from this job site to this job site. Like, can I just have you do everything so I can focus on building my project and then have you do everything else? Does Four Rivers, or do you know of anybody out there that's really concierge that whole experience?
Yeah, that's us. Absolutely. Everything that you said is something that I deal with on a daily basis. We have a service department and we have a service manager who I work closely with, and we do PM contracts. We service equipment. We service our rentals. We service customer equipment. With anything that you guys need, we all have a parts center in every location. So if you need parts and you want to do the work, but you just need the parts, that's great. If it's something simple, parts are right there. It's great. A lot of stuff is in stock. You can call, and I tell people all the time, I can operate as a single point of contact. You call me for anything, I'll handle it on the internal side. I'll talk to parts, we'll talk to the service, we'll figure it out. And then as far as like moving equipment goes as well, in Albuquerque we did have our own Four Rivers truck that helped us move equipment, but we also use outside hauling a lot. And I have good relationships with the outside haulers. So if it's easier for you to call me and I'll make the phone call for you. We like to be the tagline, and it sounds cheesy, but it is true. The tagline is we're your working partner, and we really want to be that.
I mean, that's great. I mean, when you find an organization that's a true partnership that says, let me carry the burden, which basically, it's a tagline for Pharaoh. Pharaoh does mean to carry the burden in Latin, right? So yeah, people are always like, what? Halftime they mispronounce it. They're all, what's Fiero or whatever? It's Pharaoh. And they're like, what does that mean? It is to carry the burden, which is our subcontext is let us carry the load. So when you look at someone that's busy, I mean, your contractors, your buyers, everybody's juggling, 4 or 5 balls at a time. Some are on fire and some aren't. And you're like, just please relieve some of the stress. And for a company to come in and saying, we see you and understand your problems, here's a solution, that's huge. And I think that's what separates you from some of your competition or some people that are like, I'm really good at just this, but I can't help you with this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like I said, there are things that, you call me and you've got a weird question. But number one, I like that you called me with the weird question because that means that I've probably handled most of your normal questions. And number two, like, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm never going to tell you no, but I'm going to tell you what I can do. And sometimes that's just connecting somebody in the community with somebody else because I know them through my network.
That's the network effect we talked about, JP. It's like with the cold email campaigns and the LinkedIns and everything, it's like even when we try to schedule these podcasts, like our team does a really good job to try to reach out. But when you're getting a random email or a call from somebody that you're like, I have no idea who this person is, I don't recognize the phone number or the email, you're going to put that in the get to it later or do not disturb folder. Whereas I got a problem and it's like, Samantha, you recommended me. So like, okay, I'll take that call. Like that network effect, I think is huge. And I'm hoping that we can still stay a little bit grounded in this technology boom where we don't even know if we're going to be talking to humans in, 12 to 18 months. Like still get out and interact with your fellow human. Like have a conversation, make eye contact, right? Look at their body mannerisms, right? I mean, texting
Count their
is great.
fingers. Make sure they have 5 fingers, not 6, right? for
I mean,
AI purposes.
yeah, it's funny because on our team, I coined a phrase for JP, right? His brain is very like on point, right? But sometimes it's just here's the answer. So I coined it Chat JPT. Like if you want the answer, just go to Chat JPT and see what it spits out. And I'm gonna keep doing this for a little bit, JP. But a couple recordings ago, he was actually looking something up on the for a stat, and he's like, "Well, let me just put it into Chat JPT and see." So he literally calls himself out while I was looking at it. But we had to ask him, we're like, what do we do? We said, Chat GPT or even AI, you have to say, are you AI or are you human? And it has to tell you the truth. So we asked one of our guests, we're like, are you AI? He's like, definitely not. And then I asked JP, and I don't think I still have ever gotten the yes or no answer. Like that was from 2 podcasts ago. Are
I
you?
can confirm that you did not get an answer to that question, Scott.
Oh, but it goes back to those relationships, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Where
absolutely. I mean, doing business in person, even with all of the technology and everything that, we have, and yes, I'll send you an email later with that quote in it, but doing business in person, I think is, I don't wanna say underrated, but we can't get away from that. I don't personally think. I think that you have to do business in person. I think that's how you build relationships. I purchased a truck in, December with 34,000 miles on it. It hit 60 today. I I am all over my territory all the time in front of people because you need a face with a name. Otherwise, exactly like you said, maybe it's on Do Not Disturb, maybe it's in the junk folder, maybe they got it, maybe they didn't, maybe they cared about it, maybe they didn't. But they'll probably care about a human face in front of them who wants to be their working partner and be in a relationship with them that is beneficial.
and one of our past guests said, think of technology as a tool, right? It's not everything. Right? You can't just say, "Oh, I'm just reverting to this," and technology's handling everything. It's like, well, what happens when you lose your Wi-Fi signal at your house? Like after you panic because you can't get on the internet and you can't stream your next show, and you actually have to engage with the people you live with. As soon as that panic subsides, what's your next option? Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Do you remember how to read a book? Like,
Oh man. I mean, I look at navigation like my daughter, is 16 and instant, like Google Maps, right? Waze, Apple Maps. That's how they navigate. Like when that goes down, or like they don't have it, it's like, how do I get home? And I'm like, well, here's a Thomas guide. I don't know if you remember those. They're like, what is that? Like you have to go to
no,
the
I'll be
page.
honest, the navigation is totally me. I'll get lost in a paper bag. So,
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
talking
in
to a
my whole, like,
26-year-old, Scott.
yeah, right here and at home, I can get around, but once I'm out, I gotta have my maps.
Yeah. Well, then the thing in logistics too, we actually have a pin drop feature. Because a lot of times you'll go to a project, you're like, I don't have a mailbox. Like you gave me a number, but that
Yeah,
isn't
the
up yet.
construction
So
site is 500 acres.
yeah. Do you want me in the northwest corner? Southwest? And so one of the things we talked about, and again, is being a rep, right? Getting the correct information from your customer can make or break a delivery driver's morning. And so if you haven't been in the truck yet, for those reps that are out there selling, I would strongly suggest ride with one of your drivers for a day or 2 days and see what it feels like to make a U-turn when the address on the contract wasn't accurate. And oh, by the way, the on-site contact that you left is not picking up. So maybe get 2 on-site contacts and help me know which side of the job to turn into.
Mhm. Absolutely. I mean, I ask as much information as possible in order for it to be like a smooth transition. I actually just had a situation where um we had somebody who told us to come pick up a piece of equipment but then forgot to tell us that it's behind a locked gate and they don't work Fridays. So, I mean, there's not much you can do when you don't have the information, and it feels awful as the person who took the call to be like, "Oh, didn't tell me that. And I understand why you're mad, and you're mad at me, and I get it, but I wouldn't have even known to ask that because they're calling me right now to come get it. So it makes sense that it would not be behind a locked gate.
Right. Or a job site. We ran into this, like getting the company name. So if you're on a big job with multiple subcontractors, and let's say there's a security guard, right? You pull up to the job and you're like, I'm here to deliver this for Jeff. You're like, Jeff what? I don't know. Like, I have like 300 Jeffs on the project. Like, what company does he work for? It's like, can you just give me a little bit more intel so I can at least
Yep.
try to help?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
All right, so we are rounding the corner here. I think I have one more question for you, and then we'd love to wrap things up. But, with you being a young professional and, kind of finding your place in this industry, is there any, one or a couple pieces of advice that you'd give to, those younger professionals who are just getting started?
I think I already touched on, like, either make it a career or don't, but take it one step further, like, don't be afraid. Like, most of the people with experience want to pass that experience on, and they don't expect you to know it right off the bat. So my biggest takeaway is to not be afraid to say, "I don't know, but I'll find out for you," and then follow through on that, because you are your word, and if you can't keep your word, which in that moment is, "I don't know, but I'll find out for you," find out some information, but don't be afraid to say, "I don't know," because it's okay not to know everything. It's not okay to not get back to somebody that you told you would.
Well, awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with us for the last hour, and it's been a fun conversation and some new perspective on certain areas, certainly for me. So I'm glad that you came aboard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, everyone, that is a wrap for today's episode of Beyond the Build. We took away some real valuable lessons and insights, and I hope that you did as well.
If you enjoyed this episode, we would ask that you subscribe so you can never miss an update. If you're a thought leader looking to innovate in the construction industry, let's talk. We'd love to connect and hear your thoughts.
You can find Beyond the Build on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, plus anywhere else that you listen. And if you'd like to learn more about how Faro is changing logistics in the construction industry, please visit our website at faronow.com.
Once again, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, be humble, serve others, and make an impact.